Your body already knows before you have the words, before you can explain it to anyone, before it makes sense to you, your body is already carrying it. And if you've ever sat down to journal, opened a blank page and just stared, because what's happening inside you is too big, too tangled, too much for a sentence. This video is for you. Hi, I'm Lisa Freefeather, and I talk about all things decentered because when we know ourselves and we center ourselves, all of our relationships and communities are greatly improved. Let's get back into it. The problem with only using words, stay with me for a second. Most of us were taught one way to process emotions. You talk about it, you write about it, maybe you think about it and probably too much. And those tools are real. I'm not here to take them from you because I certainly use them. But there's a specific kind of feeling that none of those tools can quite reach. You know the one. It's sitting in your chest right now, or maybe in your stomach, and it's been there for days or maybe longer. And every time you try to put language to it, what comes out is, something vague like, "Ah, I feel a certain way. I feel like something's off. Something's going on with me. I don't know. I just feel it, right?" That's not you being inarticulate. That's not you being too emotional or not self-aware enough. It's basically your inner world doing something your conscious mind hasn't been able to catch up to yet. What happens is that there's a reason for that. So before I show you what I did and what you can do too, I'm going to give you a little context because when you understand why this works, you'll trust yourself enough to actually try it. All right, let's get into the science of it. Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, gave us one of the most useful images for understanding ourselves and what I'm talking about. He described the mind as an iceberg, the tip above the water. That's your conscious mind. It's the things that you can name, explain, talk about, and act on. That's what journaling lives in. That's where most of our conversations live in. But underneath it, the massive submerged part that you and I cannot see, that's your unconscious. And according to Freud, that's where approximately 90% of what's actually driving you lives. Your desires, your fears, your unresolved feelings, the pressure building up before you can even identify the source. Oh my goodness, 90%. So when you say, I feel a certain way, you're not confused. You're standing on the edge of that water looking down, trying to see something that language wasn't designed to reach. Here's what I wanted. Here's what I want you to know. Journaling unfolds linearly. You write a sentence, it leads to a thought, which leads to another sentence. It's conscious, sequential, and you're still in that part of the iceberg that's above the water. So collages works differently. When you reach for an image, not because you analyzed it, but because something pulled you to it, you're accessing a different channel. It's a subconscious one. You're not building a logical argument about how you feel. You're letting your inner world speak in its own language through images. Research backs this up. Intuitive collage has been shown to bypass the censoring mind, the part of you that edits, that second guesses, and tries to make feelings sound reasonable and allow what's actually present to surface, to surface safely without you having to figure it all out first. And here's the piece about the body. When you're emotionally overloaded, your nervous system is running hot. Your sympathetic nervous system, the one wired for fight, flight, or freeze, or fawn, is activated And in that state, language is harder to access. Your brain is in survival mode, not reflection mode. But working with your hands, cutting, selecting images, arranging, activates something different. Creative engagement has been shown to turn on the parasympathetic nervous system and your rest and digest response. So, which means your body starts to regulate while you're processing. You're not waiting to feel better before you start. You're doing what brings the relief. Now, there's one study that found that 45 minutes of art making significantly reduces cortisol. That's the stress hormone. And you know, it participates regardless of your skill level. The quality of what you make is not the point. It's the act of making. And collage specifically, since it uses images rather than words, because it's intuitive, then planned, and it creates what researchers call a visual narrative of your inner world. So patterns emerge, themes are shown, and sometimes a name arrives for the thing. It arrives to the thing that you've been carrying. It's not because you've been forcing it, but because you gave it a shape through these random images that spoke to you intuitively. So here's what I did, and this is something that you could do too. Let me show you some images that I actually pulled when a few weeks ago I was like going to this. Now you don't need give me 1 second. So here's what I did. And here's how you can do this too. A glue stick or tape. I prefer glue stick. Scissors if you want them. You can tear, which honestly has its own feeling, and a backing. It could be a piece of paper. I pulled a few images from magazines and different materials. First, you want to get your materials. You don't need to go buy anything. I got magazines from my local library. A lot of libraries have a free bin where they recycle out old magazine issues. You can ask at the front desk, which is what I did. You can also try salons, dentist office, any waiting rooms that keep magazines. Or if you have magazines, people are usually happy to let them go and take them. So you'll also want a surface to work on. This does not cost you anything. It could be cardstock. You can upcycle um, old paper bags. You could do the inside of a cereal box. Whatever you have, you really do have all of the materials you need. Now, the next thing here that's important to the instructions I can give you, and it's the hardest one for a lot of us. Do not think. I mean it. Don't pick images because they make sense. Do not build a mood board. Don't try to make this pretty or make it cohesive. Do not pull images with words on it or phrases on it. You want to make sure there's just only images. So first what you do is flip through, and when something catches your eye, it could be a color, it could be a texture, it could be a face, it's a shadow. You want to rip it out, take teeth, cut it out. The point is that you want to just give yourself permission to pull these images that are calling to you. I've done this so often that I would pull images regarding something that's currently happening in my life. But I will see images that are also interesting. I make two piles. I would say keep it simple. Give yourself permission not to understand what what you're doing while you're doing it. I started this sitting with a lot of pressure, like I said a few weeks ago, something that been building up for weeks. And boy, you know, uh, since the since the eclipse that we've had and the spring equinox in March, a lot of cosmic and personal energy has been moving at one point. And I felt like I was coming out of my skin. And I really didn't have any words for the sensation and the chaos and the intensity. I, sat down with these magazines and I let myself just pull images so you can see that I'm arranging the images after I've pulled it. Once you have a pile of images, you can start placing them together. No rules. You're not decorating. You're just listening. You're noticing what wants to come next and what feels like it's right. And just move the images around and layer them up. You can let it be messy. The act of arranging itself is part of the process. Just like trust your hands know something that your mind is still catching up to. All right. Once you've arranged it, what I like to do is go in with my glue stick. When it feels like it's done, it's not perfect, step back, take a look, and, then just sit with it for a moment. Don't try to interpret anything before looking at it. You want to just get it all adhered down so that you can examine it. So, what you want to do is get it all kind of glued down in place, and then you can get to the point of getting feedback from it, right? What do you feel when you look at it? Not what you want to avoid is what does it mean? It's more like what do you feel? What's your starting point? All right. So that's that. Here's my takeaways from my collages that I'm now showing and displaying. So I ended up making three during this process. This one I'm showing you has just three images because three images can make a collage. I wanted to share them with you because it's not because this is what it should look like, but it's because I wanted to let you through the process. And so what I did there was that the tight wire rope, the images there was really feeling the pressure. There was a point a few weeks ago that I wanted to scream and it felt like I was just on thin ice. Well, have you ever had that feeling where you just want to explode and throw and break things, but there are consequences to those actions? Now my second one, this is my other takeaway again, is also expressing that pressure and how it arrived. If you see the tightening of the balloon, again, that expresses pressure in the colors. Red can be anger. And the pink also kind of internalized because during that time, I really, really pressed myself to take lots of deep breaths because it was a moment of time that I felt explosive and implosive. And so, anyway, what I want to offer from all three of these that I walked away with is a sense of relief. Like seriously, once I saw these images, it named something. It made something available that I couldn't journal about. I couldn't talk my way through it. The images gave me access to something that was real, it was present, it was mine. And when I saw it, something just like took a deep breath. And I didn't feel like I needed to have that explained. The pressure, it's like this. If you've ever had a situation where you've talked to someone and got relief, that is how I felt after I saw these three collages. It doesn't create emotion, it doesn't manufacture insight. It just opens a door that's already there. And so when it did that, like I said, relief. You could do this today with magazines from a waiting room, a glue stick, an upcycle box, or anything. Now, if you've been carrying something you can't quite name, if you're aware enough to know something is moving you or moving in you, but you haven't been able to get to it yet, I want you to try this out. Try this before the week is out. You don't need a special day. You don't need the perfect setup. You just need magazines or images. You can even do this digitally, but I prefer tactile, right? And a willingness, explore. And if you find yourself on the other side of the collage, sitting with something that finally has a shape, but you want support figuring out what to do with it, what it means for you, where you're going, what's your next move going to actually be. I have a limited number of forward clarity calls open right now. It's 45 minutes. You'll leave with a clear language for what's happening internally, one grounded next move, and a calmer nervous system than when you arrive. The link is in the description and also below. No pressure. This video stands fully on its own. But if you're ready to stop circling and you want to start moving, I'll meet you there. All right. So I just want to say you already have what you need to start. Pick up the magazines, make the thing. And if you want to go deeper, everything is in the description below. I look forward to seeing you. Please comment below, collage, so that I know that you watched it to the end and you're going to take a next action. All right. Bye for now.